Hello and welcome to the Larp Guide. In this video, I'll be talking about and giving some advice for character creation for the upcoming Blood and Fire Larp event. This is the first part of my mini-series covering the game. The next video will be covering costume design. So if that sounds interesting and you end up enjoying this video, then please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. Okay, let's get into it. Before designing my character for the event, I spent some time reading over the game brief. This is one of the most important things you can do before attending a LARP event, as it has the potential to save you a load of time and money. In the case of Blood and Fire, the key information I found after reading their brief was that it was set in the 1400s and within Europe. This would have a massive impact on my background, as if, for example, I had gone ahead without reading the brief and made a computer hacking cyber terrorist, I would have been completely wasting my time, as this would have been in no way fitting within their game world. The game brief is there to give you some clear guidance and a good sense of direction for how you can design your character to fit within their world. Ignoring the brief is a quick way to find yourself being very disappointed. So always read the game brief. Always. So after reading the brief, I then looked at making my core design for my character, an elevator pitch. When creating my pitch, I was thinking mainly about what I wanted to do to have fun at the event, and then summarized it. For example, believes knowledge is power and will go out of their way to acquire it, doesn't accept authority, and stands up for the underdog. Or, to make it easier for other people to understand, Robin Hood, but steals knowledge from the rich and educates the poor. Elevator pitch. The Blood and Fire team requests that you send over to them, along with your expression of interest, 3 character ideas that you would be interested in playing at their game. From these, they will then select the one that they feel is best suited for their game, and then give you the go-ahead to start fleshing out that character and designing it in more detail. Fleshing out your character is all about expanding on the core concept, looking at ways that you can link your idea to fit within the game world. The more of these links you can make, the easier it will be for you to play your character and, of course, find common ground with other player characters. This is very important, as the less of these ties you have, the more likely that your concept won't fit in the game. You'll find it harder to enjoy yourself and, of course, for others to interact with you, as it would always feel like you're trying to push a square peg into a round hole a lot of the time. There is a word used for this type of player or character, which is being a special snowflake. To avoid this word being used about you, try to link your character as closely to the brief as possible, and of course follow the rules that have been provided, and avoid trying to make up your own just to suit your character idea. When designing my character for Blood and Fire, I first looked at what they were as a mortal, and then linked that up with what they are now as a vampire. I feel by grounding yourself first in the world as a mortal really helps when developing and finding out how you fit in now as a vampire. It's very easy to ignore your past, and focus on all those cool new vampire powers and what you've been up to with them. But if you spend some time looking at what you were before, it can really help develop what you are now. It gives you reasons behind the things you're doing or not doing, why you like or dislike something. And if you try to link these into the game brief, you will quickly find that your character feels grounded in the world in which you're playing. Expanding on my elevator pitch example, maybe as a mortal, I was a peasant in Europe who through chance ended up working closely around educated people, maybe as a stable boy or something. They then realized that the only difference between them and the people they served was knowledge. Being able to read and write and understand numbers opened up the world. And it was what was giving the rich their power. It's how they made their laws and how they taxed the sweat of lesser men. They always wanted to learn and then teach those who had been never given the chance, to bring about a change in the world, to rob the rich and the wealthy of their biggest strength, education. Then, as a vampire, they quickly realised that this elder control over mortals was playing a big part in what was keeping the peasants uneducated, and that now they were still powerless to do anything about it. That was until, of course, they heard rumours of the Anarch Revolt. This brief example of a character background helps tie in two elements of the game world. The first being the education divide during the period in which the game is set, and the second being the drive to make change, which is tying in with the Anarch Revolt that the game is based around. So after you've completed designing your background and fleshing out your character concept, it's time to start looking at making the character itself based on the character creation rules. My advice for Blood and Fire is to follow through the process outlined on their character creation form, and then make some notes as you're going along. As when you are requested to spend XP at the end, it will save you having to go back and forth through the form. Noting down your point allocations on skills, attributes, and disciplines will help you massively. If you need a more detailed explanation on character creation rules and what it all means, please check out my previous video on the Mind's Eye Theatre character creation. The link can be found above. I would also recommend utilising the By Night Studios SRD to help look up and get more detail on certain rules. I also created a cheat sheet with all the rules of my character on it to keep alongside my character sheet. This will be a massive help at the game, as trying to remember all 500 pages of the rules at first could be an issue. It's important to note that you may have designed a character in your head that's the world's best at 50 different things, but then you're unable to make that character due to the starting XP restrictions and feel that it's a shadow of your original idea. This is 100% normal, and please don't get discouraged. It's important though that at this point you focus down. I personally go over my character sheet and assign a quick rank to each of my purchases. Must have, core, and I'll get that later. The must-haves are required for you to play your character in the way you wanted to. For example, having the ability to obfuscate as you are planning on sneaking around the entire game, and just having the stealth skill alone just won't allow you to do this. Core would be purchases of skill, stats, and abilities that help make you better at the must-have things on your character sheet, or things that are mentioned or linked into your background. For example, having a mental attribute of 8 rather than 5, or raising your stealth skill from 4 to 5 could be considered core to your character build. But also having 1 point in ride skill to represent the years of your mortal life as a stable boy could also be considered core. That then leaves you with things to purchase later when you're leveling up your character and spending all that gained XP. The Mind's Eye Theatre character creation rules really help you with breaking down and ranking your purchases. Consider the starting point allocations as your must-haves, the starting XP as a way to work on your core, and then finally make a list of all the things you would have spent XP on to make up for your future purchase list. My last bit of advice for character creation is to think about your future. You won't be able to do everything you want at the start of the game, and that's the whole point of the game, to watch and see how your character grows over time. I personally, though, create my goal and then agendas that I feel I would need to complete to achieve that goal. These help to give your character direction and things to do at the game. And also, more importantly, a point in which you can retire your character and try something new. There is nothing worse than creating a character and after a couple of games losing your direction and drive due to not having any more motivation to do things. You will be amazed how busy you can keep yourself and others as you're pushing toward those elaborate end goals, like becoming the prince or becoming a spy master for your local warren. Sometimes you may find yourself at a loss for things to do, especially at larger events, as you may find the ref team is busy running encounters for other people, and at the time, you're just not part of it. This is a perfect time though to start interacting with other players at the game and pushing forwards your character personal agendas. So that covers it. You should now have a good idea on how to make a kick-ass new character. I hope you found this video useful, and please check out the next part of this mini-series for Blood and Fire costume design. Love you all. I'll see you again. Bye.